So we're out here at this little barn. These people are so nice. They let us go ahead and paint out here. So it's so nostalgic, and I just love this place. Close to where I live. Let me see if I can turn around here so you can see. There's the barn back there. And there's Matt painting away. And here I am set up over here because I'm doing the scene, as I said before, of these hay bales. Mama horse and baby horse. I think Matt's painting the baby horse right now. Quickest block-in you ever saw in your life. Matthew was pretty much ready to go before I even started painting. He was finished with his painting. So I'm trying to rush and get the block-in in very quickly. We're out in extreme heat here, and I know I only have a very limited time with Matthew. I'll speed this up just a little. All I'm doing here basically is laying down a very light foundation of colors so that I have a pretty good idea of what color I want to use when I get home. I'm obviously not going to be able to paint this all out there. I pretty much overheated myself setting up Matthew's whole plein air spot, his umbrella and his water, and got him all completely ready. And by the time I got over to my spot, I had been standing in the sun so long I was overheated. So anyway, just as I sat down and could possibly cool off and got my umbrella ready, he was finished. So you see just the basics going in here, and I will finish this at home. Hopefully this lady lets me come out again. She was very nice, did not mind us out there at all. Even let us go really close to the horses. And the little pony that they had just had a baby not that long ago. And she said, oh, the baby was almost as big as the mother already. It was really cute with this little short tail. And Matt really loved the horses. So I'm glad I was able to take him out there. And even though he didn't really want to paint, he did a good job on his little horse painting. He mostly just likes to come and watch me paint and just sit and relax and listen to his YouTube on his telephone. He was afraid he wouldn't do a good job, but he did. So I've got the basic side of the building in and the hay bales. And I excluded the RV that was sticking up on the side of the building. Just not necessary in this painting. Of course, I excluded the fence. And I'm ready to hit the road. The horse does? Yeah? All right, let's bring a couple of things to the car, but first I need some water. I'm really hot. might have to teach Matt how to do some of the packing. Yeah. Very, very hot. Very, very hot. Florida. Okay, I'm home now where it's actually cool. The difficulty in this painting has nothing to do with drawing it or painting it. It has to do with the hue and the value. I need to show that there is a lighter side of this building, even though it's still pretty dark because it's hidden by an RV on that left side. But definitely underneath where the hay is even darker. So I have to vacillate back and forth between the colors that I need in order to show that, because if I want to use a little bit of that blue on the side of the building, it sort of diminishes the roof. So then I have to change that value a little bit. I also want to show some of the rust on the roof. So we go back and forth, and that's often what you do when you paint, back and forth until you find what works. So now we're working on those hay bales. They're not really bales. I don't know what you call these big circular rolls of hay, but I'm going to call them bales because I don't know what else they're called. And of course, in order to show the light, you have to paint the dark. So I will be putting dark in between, and I've painted this whole painting so far with a very large brush. I will get into a little bit of smaller detail with a smaller brush eventually. A lot of times I paint things in like the wheels or the hay, and I don't do a perfect job, but I'm just trying to make the painting come alive for me. I plan on doing it a little bit better or a little bit more correct perspective, but at the moment I just need to see it start to develop. So I'll put the darkness in where the wheels go and the red where the, I don't know what this thing is called, this flatbed truck goes. I'll put the dark in around the edges so it starts to look like there's some dimension and darkness inside there, and slowly it starts to become something to me, and then I put my detail in. A little bit of that light blue sky, which we sort of vacillated between a hazy day and then a very bright day. That little corner there at the corner of the roof is very important to show the depth there, how the roof kind of comes over the edge there. There's a shadow underneath this whole flatbed, but there is one little strip of actual yellow grass there that I'm putting in only to show the difference between where the shadow and the grass is, to show off the shadow basically. So yes, of course, we have to put in the lights on the back of the truck. We have to put the wheels on the tires. We have to put some more wispy hay here and there. A few more details. But for the most part, you get the idea of where we're going with this painting. And I will show you the completed painting. There were lots of ways I could have gone with this. I could have stepped further back and painted it from a different perspective, but I really have been fascinated with this hay that I find in different places on this property every time I drive by it. So it really wasn't so much the barn as it was the hay that I wanted to paint. So it's always on this flatbed. So we're featuring the hay today. As usual, the hay will never look bright without some dark being next to it. And this little dark corner is very important in this painting. So that area of the biggest contrast between light and dark will be my focal point. And of course I have to put the dark around each one of these rolls so that I can show how this hay is rolled up, and all the little pieces that are sticking out are lighter because they're catching the sun, but down deep inside the roll it's darker. That's how you give something dimension. Now here's this little plant that's climbing up the side of the building. Just a weed. But it gives a little more character to a run-down, rusty building. So some more beautiful highlights on the top of the hay. Layer after layer, you decide how light you need it. You analyze it, go back, put a little more, take some out. You can see how the hay on the one side of the truck is catching more sun than the other side, so that shows you where the sun is coming from. Got to get this beautiful red flatbed truck in there. And the tires are partially buried in the grass. They're not that important. One thing that's very important in this painting, besides the little corner at the top of the roof, right at the point, and the corner right next to the hay, is also that strip of yellow grass on the bottom. Those are the three most important points in this painting. Now I'm using the side of my brush just to make some pokey hay sticking up here and there. Little fuzzy pieces. Of course we have to have the license plate and the little lights on the back and a little dash of this and that, little white flecks, things that were on the back of that flatbed, and a few pieces of fallen hay here and there. So what was hard about this painting? Well, getting some of the perspective right was hard. These are oval, they are not round, and when you make them round, it looks like they're sitting right there like headlights staring at you, and they're actually sort of a little bit obliquely turned at an angle. So that's something that has to be done properly. The angle of this roof, you would never dream it's going down, but it is, and that had to be corrected. Something as simple as these tires I had to keep messing with because I was not realizing they're up above the trailer or the flatbed, not down below it. So that's something I had to work on. So simple things that, you know, you would think, oh, it's very easy. You're an artist. You know how to do this. But you honestly have to constantly reevaluate, stand back, take a photo, look at the photo. What's wrong with it? What is off in this? That helps you decide what to do next. And changing things, like this might have not been this exact color in here, but I needed it to be so that this could shine. This particular thing right here is another point that you have to look at. Yes, there's highlight up here, but this is actually a little bit lighter in here because the sun was not at 12 o'clock noon, it was more like 11, and it was kind of hitting here. Not that it makes that much difference, but it did help to make them round. And again, they are like a round barrel, but again, the round is not coming around like this. It's going at an angle, an angle, and an angle. And that's what lets you see that they're not only round, but they're going back. So those perspective issues are always the hardest because I am not a natural drawer and I have had to learn how to do it. What was the most fun was taking the palette knife in the end and just slopping it on where I wanted it to look really thick and choppy, and scratching through where I wanted to kind of accentuate little pieces of straw and hay sticking out here and there. So those last few minutes made all the fun in the world. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I was glad you could come along with me on this day of painting. I didn't get much done in the field, but I had a good time with Matt, and that was important. We went and got a snack afterwards and a drink, and it was a little sunshine for him and a chance to look at the horses. So thanks for coming with me, everyone.